So this workshop is about mac and cheese is made with a cheese sauce, which is made using a white sauce. Now, white sauce is a really, really classic cooking sauce, and it's used for loads of things like lasagna, fish pies, so it's a great thing to master, and it's actually really straightforward. So classically, a white sauce is made with a base called a roux, and that is a paste of flour and butter mixed together with milk and cooked. And what happens is, as the flour cooks in the sauce, the starches swell and thicken the sauce in the heat of the sauce. That's all very well, but when you make a roux, often it can go lumpy, and it also involves quite a lot of washing up. So this is a much more straightforward way of doing it, and it's an all-in-one method. So what we're going to do is we're going to add everything to the pan and then cook it while whisking all the time. And a ratio is a really nice one, an easy one to remember. So if I'm cooking for a family of 4, I'm going to use 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of butter, and 500 grams of milk. So really simple. If I was going to just cook for 2, it'd be 25 of butter, 25 grams of just plain flour, and 250, so just 10 times the amount of the milk and butter. So I'm going to add these to my pan. 50 grams of butter, 50 grams of flour, it's just plain flour's going in, and 500 of milk. So if you get a pint in a pint jug, a pint is 568, I think. So it's going to be almost a pint, just not quite the base. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat on, and I'm going to turn it up quite high because I want it to cook quite quickly. You might have noticed that when I added the butter, I added it in as cubes because that means it's going to melt quickly. And I'm going to keep stirring. It's really important to stir constantly, and make sure you stir on the edges of the pan as well, because that's where you find that things stick and burn and where they cause lumps. So I'm going to stir until the sauce gets really nice and thick. So now my sauce has got really nice. And thick. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the temperature down a bit so I've got control and it doesn't burn. And I'm going to cook it out. And that's really important. So you can see it's now bubbling, and I'm going to cook it out for a couple of minutes just to make sure that we have cooked out all those starches so that our sauce doesn't taste of flour. So just make sure you keep stirring, nice low heat now so it doesn't burn. And we're going to make sure that we just cook it all through and let it bubble. So now you've got your lovely thick base white sauce, you can then flavour it. So we're going to make a cheese sauce, so we've got to add cheese to it. So I've got a nice big handful of grated cheese. You can use any cheese you like. You can use cheddar. Remember to use quite a strong flavoured one, so if it's cheddar, go for mature because you won't need so much. Add as much or as little as you want. You could add things like Parmesan or Gruyere if you want to make it fancy. And you can just stir your cheese through and let it melt. And then you might want to season it. So completely up to you. You might want to add some mustard. So you can add a little bit of mustard to your sauce if you want. You might want to add a pinch of salt, depending on how salty the cheese is. So if you're using something like Parmesan, obviously that's quite salty, so be careful. I've got a pinch of salt in mine. You might want to add some pepper. Classically you'd use white pepper rather than black pepper, but if you're just cooking for at home, who cares? And there you have it, that's your base cheese sauce. So you can make this into Welsh rarebit, put it on toast and grill it. I'm going to make mine into a mac and cheese. I'm going to add some cooked pasta. You could boil some cauliflower till it's just cooked, so a knife will go into it, and then put cauliflower through it to make cauliflower cheese, add it to lasagna, make it into fish pie. So many things you can do with such a basic sauce, all made in just one pan. So I'm going to get some pasta and show you how to finish this dish now. So I've got my cheese sauce and I've got some pasta that I've just cooked till it's just cooked through, and then I've drained it. And I'm just going to add my pasta to my cheese sauce. So I've got about 300 grams of pasta here to a 500 milliliter cheese sauce, but you can adjust it. And you don't have to just add pasta, you can add all sorts of things. So you might want to add tuna and sweet corn to it, you could add roasted vegetables, you could slowly fry some onions and bacon while you're cooking the pasta in a little frying pan, stir that through, make it a little bit more exciting. So loads and loads of things that you can do to make it a bit more nutritious and also more interesting, or you might like a really, really classic mac and cheese. And once I've stirred it all through, I'm just going to put it into an oven dish. So I'm just going to add a topping of some breadcrumbs, 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs and a bit of grated cheese. And then I'm going to bake it in a preheated oven at 180 degrees for about 20 minutes until it's really nice and golden. And there you have a really nice golden mac and cheese. I put it under the grill for a few minutes just to finish it off and make it golden on the top. And just have a think about what you're going to serve it with, because obviously this is proper comfort food, but it's also stodge. So maybe a nice colourful salad. You could do some slow roast tomatoes if you've got tomatoes that need using up. Anything that's going to add a few more veggies to it, and also a bit of crunch and freshness to balance out the sort of gooey comfort food of your mac and cheese. So enjoy your meal. Thanks.